as we speak.
I mean, what? The 5 fans we have, we are live.
5 regulars.
It's not about the fan count. It's about the journey.
I mean,
yeah, I don't want to be famous. That's just too much work.
You do know we're live, TJ. We're your guests, dude. This is your show.
Hey, welcome to my show. Welcome to Hold My Beer. We are holding freight. We're actually talking freight. We're not holding freight. We're holding it hostage.
Oh yeah.
Power only, no touch.
Today I've got Michael Neme with me. Neme, is it Neme or Neme?
You really don't know already? It's
I
Neme.
do.
I've said it to you, Neme. Like
Okay, that's what I thought.
me.
I started Dan the other day, and Dan didn't know, and then he threw me off, but I thought for sure that's what it was.
Dan definitely knew. Me and Dan are on. We got nicknames for each other, so that's all about.
I don't want to hear it.
We don't.
AKA Midwest Mike, I've got Brandon Bay there with me with the Circle Logistics shirt on. Well done, sir. We've also got Anthony Darnell, top 5 shipper in Northern Indiana, RV Magazine. That was in 1998.
3-county competition.
The Tri-County. Have you seen that one guy that does that the Tri-State report, but it's like 7 states? Am I the only one that doesn't get that? Listen, we're live. We can't talk about that type of stuff. Come on, TJ. All right.
That's for another show.
You know what's funny is I brought this topic up. I was thinking about it the other night, and then like ever since I put it up, people have like asked questions just about the market stuff, and it seems like it's been very relevant. The main point is this goes across all modes, whether it's LTL, intermodal, truckload. But you look at it from the standpoint of you kind of want you always kind of want to stay in your niche, especially because not have to, but if you're not to the point where you can scale out of it yet. But there's ways to just diversify some things, especially commodities, that can open up opportunities and keep you from feeling the hit. I got people that come to me, they're like, oh man, I can already tell the market's going down, and then I ask them what they're shipping, and it's all e-commerce, and that was blowing up before, and it's slowing down a little bit due to some things. But then I've got some people that are like, oh my God, it's ramping up because they're shipping building products, right, or RV supply parts. And
I'd like to diversify my products.
Tony can't diversify his products, but if he could, he would.
Darn right I would. But
Tony's a testament to the fact that if you're supplying RV parts and that, that's still, you're booked out till, how far are you booked out, Tony?
It's every day it gets bigger.
Hmm.
I don't know. It just keeps going. You can't build them fast enough. We can't make the parts fast enough. We can't hire enough people. I can't hire enough forklift drivers. I can't hire enough drivers. I can't lease enough trucks. I can't find forklifts, and I can't find people to run them.
What's that say? So that says a couple things. Number one, that commodity obviously is moving, but number two, you've got opportunity there just from a sales standpoint, right? If there's a way to get in, help them out. Mike gets in there, says, hey, well, how about your managed tray on it? I'm a chocolate milk guy. He may relate with the guy because he's also a chocolate milk guy. And there you go.
If I was still selling, I'd be calling you every day offering 20% discount.
10,000 carriers.
Tony definitely knows I ain't doing that.
If we actually used outside carriers for more than like 2 loads a week, then maybe I would listen. But I don't like you enough to use you, Brandon.
There y'all go. Just remember, be delivers.
It's T delivers, dang it.
Honesty is the key. Relationships, trust. You just sound like everybody else, very generic. So, Brandon, talk to me a little bit here. I want you to kind of start because I know you had some different modes, especially on the reefer. You were doing some different commodities, and what did you find when you saw? I know produce season affected you a lot. At a micro, instead of just something that we're looking at a market coming out of a pandemic or what it's even going to be, but I guess at a micro level, just from that standpoint, on how did you diversify? How much did you diversify, and did you at all actually?
Yeah, so CPG, produce was my bread and butter. But obviously, produce is seasonal. You want to find customers that go with as the seasonality goes. But you can diversify within that too, depending on my niche was consolidation, multiple pick, multiple drops. I said I did all the shit no one else wants to. So. Yep. When you go to diversity is important, because, trends go up, trends go down, things change. But, I kind of got into, okay, so, if I'm hauling food products, right? What do they go on? They go on pallets, food grade pallets, right? Who ships those? Produce obviously goes with seasonality. But then too, different food markets, different chains that are kind of blowing up. And then, what is their RFP cycle, different things like that. So, I never really got outside of my niche. I don't know anything about flatbed. I don't know anything about step deck, things like that. Maybe something that I should open myself up to, but I've always just stayed within my niche and tried to do it very, very well. But those other commodities can go from fresh produce to just fresh in general, refrigerated. Then you've got frozen. You've also got ice cream. So, you've got different commodities within your niche that you can kind of go after. So that's kind of what I did, is just really drill down on different commodities and different temperature ranges. And, seasonality is good with produce, but you have to have something that can help you, level the curve and diversify. You'll see very large peaks and valleys if you just run produce, in my opinion, in my experience.
Yep. I agree. Mike?
That's true for anybody, isn't it?
What do you,
yeah, Mike, I'm curious to hear you.
How much you say on LTL?
Well, first off, when you guys say diversify, I mean, again, I got to just put it out there. I don't really look at modes, more or less, of like a company's process. Now, I feel like I'm that guy on here, but no, seriously, like, doesn't really matter what you're shipping. I just want to figure out the most efficient way, cost-effective way for you to do that, right? Build out a strategy for you to do that. Again, I got people like you guys that are gurus on that end, where, we have a meeting of the minds and I say, hey, I got this idea to do this. Does this make sense from, an operational standpoint, actually moving the shipments, right? So I guess that would be my, when I say diversify, it would just mean, in my opinion, diversify outside of, like, for instance, I'm really heavy in CPG companies, right? It would be like, I'm going to step outside and go into, automotive, right? So that would be my idea as diversifying. Now, LTL, ask the question. Your question was, TJ, because I do know some things about LTL. So ask the question.
Yeah, that's your cue, TJ. Ask the question.
That was my question, was like, how much do you, I guess you're kind of answering it, but how much does commodity diversification, or even not even that, just something like that, when you're looking at market fluctuations, I mean, is it something you look into more, or are you looking at a more broader scale?
Yeah, I mean, I guess elaborate on your question. I mean, maybe I'm not understanding it correctly. When you say like when I think of like truckload, right? When you said produce, there's highs, lows for the seasons, right? LTL is really not like that when it comes into, I mean, there's classes, right? But I mean, that's just what type of product you have. But I guess
is there a certain class that you specialize in, Mike, or that you don't touch?
No,
500, baby.
I've never seen a class 500, but if we think about class, I mean, or the topic we're on, I would say is one of the most unique opportunities I had when I first started was they had their commodities were all over the map, right? It was like a dollar store. They were shipping out everything they were shipping to like dollar stores, right? So that was actually a tough one, where it was like, how do you class that? Because again, it was multiple classes. Not to get too granular on it, but so it's like, okay, well, we had to take a step back and figure out, hey, what would the overall we were looking for, like an FAK, and what's the right FAK that's going to be specific to them. So again, they're going to end up spending probably a little bit more on certain shipments, but saving a ton more on others, right? Because some of their classes were, again, 250, 300, and then some of their classes were 50. We just had to find a balance of a happy medium. But that's, I guess that's as far as it goes when it comes into LTL. When you talk about diversifying or seasons, I don't really see any. I've never seen really like a season of rates going up and down, because again, LTL rates don't really fluctuate that much. And that's my opinion, but again, I don't see them fluctuating that much.
I got a question, and it pertains to this kind of obviously there was a big sell off, right? UPS sold off their division of their LTL. Is that something within your world where you have to pivot, or does that affect you at all? Or does that like opening up a can of worms, or, what when something like that happens in the LTL world, what goes through your mind?
I think they sold their truckload, didn't they?
UPS,
they sold their LTL, but it hasn't done anything to our, like, so obviously Global Trans, there's other 3PLs that already have those relationships. It hasn't done anything to us yet. I don't know much on it. I'm not going to speak about, things that I don't know, but from any type of, let's just face it. I mean, we'd be naive to say that any type of acquisition merger runs 100% smooth, right? So I'm sure there's going to be some hiccups, but again, the guys that are making decisions that are way above my pay grade, I'm sure there's going to be value to what's going on with that acquisition. But I haven't seen anything personally, and I use UPS for a few different of my customers, and I haven't seen any issues or anything like that on my end.
I don't use UPS. I use Midwest Mike. I'm just kidding.
I mean, we're a new company. We're a new company. We're looking for capital.
MidwestMike.com.
What about you, TJ? What about you? So you kind of came up with this topic. Let's flip the script.
Yeah. You see it's pretty, prevalent in truckload. Like I said before, I've got, if you've got a building products account, if you've got, RV stuff, if you follow along, I think the biggest thing is people get in a bubble, and they tend to stay in their bubble, and they tend to, because obviously logistics, it can be busy, right? It could consume you quite a bit. But if you, I know the LinkedIn stuff, I know just in general, some of the stuff I've got connected with has really helped me out. Just understanding. I mean, just hearing stuff on TV, and wherever else out on the internet, that makes me start digging in on things. And so, I know, like right now, I looked into it, right? I heard that pharmacies were hiring a ton of workers, and one big thing for that right now is obviously with vaccines and stuff, right? Well, vaccines are needed, but they're also, called a pull, right? So when I was working with, a customer, and I was working directly with them, even doing some advising with they moved salt in, right? And they bagged it, and he was running it to all the Menards, and the bag salt, they were paying a little bit more for it. And I kind of asked, why that is. And he said, for Menards or Home Depot or Lowe's, that's a huge thing for them. It gets people in the door, right? Because when it's icy out, they got to get a bag of salt. But when they go to get the bag of salt, they're grabbing a shovel, maybe some batteries. So it's a big thing to get them in the door. So right now, I know for a fact that there's a lot of, pharmacy, customers that are shipping a ton in there. They're going to have stock stores, right? Because you're going to go in there for a vaccine, and you're going to grab some lotion, or a Circle Logistics shirt like Brandon's got, or a quarter zip like Tony wears, or something like that. So right there, look at that. But this was little extras. So things like that make a big difference. I mean, people don't think they do, but they really do. Knowing the market, knowing what's going where. Now, I talked about it this last summer, when they shut the Illinois River down for the first time in a long time, right? To fix the locks on it. That's a huge access point for ships coming up the Mississippi to get Chicago. I took a shot in the dark on it, and started pushing to areas like St. Louis. If they broke up the Ohio there, at Louisville, Cincinnati, and then just the backup that the port down in Louisiana would have. And sure enough, it all happened. There was a ton of freight, not a lot of capacity, and there were big areas to go make some money for a little bit, and just kind of keep your eye on what's going on. So for me, I guess the biggest thing is just keeping a pulse on the market, what's moving, what's not. You're going to hear people say, "Oh, market's going down," but ask them what they're moving, how they're moving it, because that could play a big role, because there could be another commodity that's just booming.
It's good. So we're also going to talk on why diversification can keep your bottom line more consistent during market changes.
Right. Which I think we touched on that, right? So instead of being, dependent on one commodity, right, and just taking the line. I mean, I know people that have even if you have an account that's out of the South during brokerage or during produce season, you're just hurting. No matter what, they just take it on the chin, right? They don't have any other, having a pipeline. The main point of this is not just,
depends on if you rate it the right way. There's no bad lane. There's just bad money.
Right. But I'm talking there's such a big fluctuation there that you could go be you could go from making a ton of money on contracted lanes out of the South to losing money. I mean, it's literally that big of a swing sometimes, and so, having your pulse on things and knowing the supply chain from top to bottom, knowing what people are shipping, how they're coming in, if they're coming from a mine, right? If they're coming from, just overseas produced, if they're coming in on a ship, if they're not, if they're going rail. I mean, knowing that stuff could keep you way out ahead of issues and way out ahead of, losing out on just waiting to be reactive rather than proactive.
That's a good point. Tony, how do you diversify your commodities?
Well, I can tell you, here's what we do. We ship ramp doors, we ship bag doors, we ship entry doors, we ship awnings, we ship hardware, we ship countertops, and boat covers. Let me tell you, a boat cover, a bimini cover for your pontoon.
Oh, yeah.
Mechanized. There's your class 500 freight when it's fully assembled sitting on a rack. 114 inches long, 96 wide, 92 tall, with the actuators on a skid banded to the bottom, about 1,200 pounds. Do the math, class 500.
Who would even want to move that? Just like
nobody.
Dude.
They love it because it's $8 million a rack.
Yeah, I could see that being
people that want to make money.
Yeah, as soon as you tell them class 500, they're, oh, hey, how can I help you? What you want a truck today? You want a half truck? You want a whole truck?
I was going to say, would you even LTL at that point, or would you just put it on
Personally, I would book a truck, but
I don't even.
It's third collect, so I have nothing to do with it.
But in your
send me who's arranging that freight.
Third collect.
Oh, okay. Well, either way, I don't want to move boat covers ever.
Good call. That's the checks and balances, right? Because
knowing what you're good at.
It's probably best for the boat cover industry for you not to be moving them. Who knows?
But
it's not a good fit for either one.
Well, hey, what'd you say?
It says it's not good for the boat cover industry to have you moving them. So,
I mean, if anyone
needs a cover,
Mike, you're in your niche, you're comfortable, and you know what the hell you're doing, buddy. That's a good thing.
If I had a boat, I'd have a cover.
See, Tony, always the logical one, Tony. Cheers, brother. Hey, but you talked about your company a little bit about they're getting into other things, right? And that probably has a lot to do with it, right? Because the RV industry does go up and down, or the boat industry, it does go up and down, right? And they're getting into different things that could keep them, as things ebb and flow in one market, they're ebbing and flow in another, and you could kind of meet at the lows and highs and try to keep it more straight across. But what's this one, TJ? How often do you find that you have to change focus like that? What % of your daily business is running lanes that are the hot market?
Hold on. For the record, TJ changes focus about 3 times per hour.
Bro, I lost what the hell he was saying as he started talking about the Mississippi River. I was like, dude, I got an email.
Is it because you're just not open to hearing it? I think I made pretty good sense.
Open. I'm just literally you just lost me on that one. Don't get too sensitive, dude.
It's truckload stuff. I
mean, just here. You got fans. Answer the question.
All right. Let me talk about fans, Mike. Anyways, it just depends. It's not always about following just hot markets, but it's just knowing you're following it and you're keeping a pulse on it to know what's going to happen that's not good, right? But also what and then once you kind of realize that, so it's not like I don't really change focus. I'm always focused on it because I want to know where the capacity is going. Is the main thing. Like if the hot market may change cities or ports or whatever it is, that may not affect like me because I can't go change that. I can go maybe work sales in that area, but that's the short-term fix. But what it does is it allows me to know where the capacity is. When you know where the capacity is, you can really get a better feel for rates and what you're doing and how you're going to move forward with it. Because there's times that you got to pull a truck from 200 miles away to come get your freight, but unless you know where those trucks are, and they may not even think to look where you're at, right? Where your freight is. And so if they're parked in St. Louis, they're looking for a load out of St. Louis, but they don't know that you've got, $6 a mile, 200 miles away, and it makes sense for them to go get it. So, knowing where they're at, it's just kind of staying ahead of the game. But what it really does, I think the biggest thing for me that it does, it allows me to have conversations with my customers. When you can sound like an expert and you can give them tips and advice and things that are going on ahead of time, and with their own and how their own supply chain and freight's working, it goes a long way, because at the end of the day, we all know you get more freight when they trust you. You get more freight when they feel as though you have it handled. And you telling them about the Mississippi River, right? And the containers that usually come up that river and go to Chicago aren't going to be going to Chicago. It's a big difference, right? And you could talk to them about that. And you could justify your rates. You could say, hey, my rates are like this because I'm deadheading a guy 200 miles, right? Are you dealing with that with other people? Yeah, we are actually, we're having trouble with it. Well, that's because of this, and I was thinking about this and here's this idea. And so it's just exactly. He said, baffle him with bullshit if you can't dazzle him with brilliance. I think that's great. Because sometimes it may not even be all that relevant, but it's still learning. I mean, it's just constant knowing what's going on. Because there's stuff that pops up. The one thing about this industry is there's stuff that pops up all the time, opportunities that come up all the time, and sometimes you don't catch them because you may not even be aware they're there. But if you've got an idea and what's going on, you can jump on top of them.
I'm sorry. The reason I'm laughing is I just picture myself like, so I'm just gonna randomly be talking to someone tomorrow. I'll be like, "Listen, did you know about the Mississippi River?" Just totally shit the bed on it and be like, "Listen, we got smoking rates. Mississippi River's flooded."
You can take your boat farther.
And you know what was great? I was laughing even harder than that when I was making all that money coming out of the ports that I got ahead on, and people weren't. That's when I was really having a good time.
Hey, Aaron wants to know where you find that info.
Well, I mean,
you have MississippiRiverInfo.com.
Well, there's a great show with a panel called Hold My Beer. We're talking freight. You could watch that. But no, I mean, just being on LinkedIn, I see it from, if I'm looking for like international stuff or shit, ocean freight stuff kind of, I found, kind of going to looking at Sarah Barnes Humphrey, her page a little bit. There's people, but FreightWaves is a great resource, but just kind of being online. What you do though, what for me at least, is if I'm on LinkedIn or Facebook or anywhere and you click on stuff or it tends to tailor stuff towards what you're looking at, articles just pop up, and I only get on Facebook when I 10 a.m. after a couple cups of coffee, right? But it gives you gives you a little 10-minute break there, but it gives you time to look, and that stuff just pops up in front of you and you don't even I'm subscribed to some like newsletters too, and Trump calls me.
Hey, real quick, one thing that stood out, you said, how often do you find that you have to change focus like that? Going back to that question they threw up, it's not about how often are you changing focus. I think in the brokerage world, that's always your focus, is staying in front of those hot markets, staying in front of those changes, being ahead of the game to be able to bid lanes, pull freight, and know that the market's flipping, and that you can grab some more loads before it flips the other way and capitalize on that. Want to throw that in, didn't get an opportunity. So
and I think when you get to a certain level, your goal is to keep your pipeline full. I mean, if you're at a cradle grave model and you're working with customers and stuff, it could take one bad thing that could get you shut off, right? And then you could go from a great income to no income to whatever. So you always want to keep your pipeline full, and I think it gives you the ability to keep your pipeline full with the right stuff. Just knowing. That, hey, listen, if I'm doing this, if I'm going to keep some accounts, coming in and I'm out making some sales calls here and there to look for more, I'm going to go in this area or do this. So I think it just gives you some direction, rather than just kind of flying by the seat of your pants and getting caught off guard.
I think if we're going to talk about sales process, I think from what I've seen personally and just listening to people on LinkedIn, there is no sales process, right? I mean, you want to talk about pipeline, like I've walked into companies where they literally just have a bunch of companies in their CRM, not knowing, literally calling nonstop. They don't even know if this company has, is a good lead or a bad lead, and they consider these leads, right? It's like, no. A company isn't a lead. Now go get some information, right?
Yep.
I always say a good lead on papers might not be a good opportunity, right? So I remember.
Hey, Mike, repeat that again. That one you said. A company.
A company is just a company. It's not an opportunity or nothing. It's literally just a company until you figure out, okay, what's your target? What's a lead for you? Then you move it into buckets, right? I have, like cold calling, right? I'm going to call these companies. They're nothing. Then I'm going to say, is it qualified? Qualified means I want to go after this account. I got enough information that is my target audience, right? Or my target customer.
Preach. So many people think going after a company is a lead. That is not a lead. A company is not a lead.
Yeah, I mean,
that's where I was getting at.
here's the problem is with that. That to me is like, there's no purpose behind the call, right? Like they're calling. It's like, you should be building. I don't care if you're transactional. I don't care or do what I do. You should have a purpose behind your call. What's your goal into that call? My goal is to unqualify it, right? Just to say, hey, it's out of my pipeline. Cool. Here it is. Now take it a little step further, and then it's like, okay, what is a good lead on paper? I always say this, a good lead on paper, right? My head. Okay, they spend $1 million. Technically, yeah. Okay, I want to go after that, but it might not be a good opportunity, right? I didn't even dig enough information, so it still goes in I have a CRM, still goes into my CRM funnel as unidentified, right? If I don't have 10 pieces of information, I'm lying. If I don't have now around 5 pieces of information to say, hey, this is a qualified lead, it never goes into that bucket of qualified lead. So I think a lot of people spend time chasing things that aren't even things, right? They're chasing a company, whereas I'd rather have a solid list of 50 qualified leads, right? Which are companies, but they're qualified leads, and know what I'm doing. Okay, I got to follow up with this person. I called them yesterday. That's how you start building that process out. I mean, if we want, again, I don't want to go on a rant on sales processes, but like, again, that's something you want to diversify something. Start off by figuring out what's your target audience or your target customer. Because again, if you're going by every company ships, who gives like realistically, it's like I had a guy that I moved over to a company. I was literally took over his leadership, and they were calling this company at the same time. I finally got a hold of the shipping guy, and I was like, hey, what are you currently doing? Turns out they only have 5 truckloads. They do 5 truckloads a week and use an email blast to quote out. I was like, you just spent 2 months, right? 2 months on something that you thought was like going to be some hot lead, when you already had this guy on the phone, 2 months ago, when you could have asked him those questions and figured out, listen, 5 truckload a week using an email blast to get the cheapest rate probably isn't a good opportunity. I think we all would agree on that, right?
Yep. And we've talked about that before, vetting customers that are going to either be a waste of time or not. But, I think that's the big thing, Mike, like you said, your sales process is got to be, laid out, and finding your target customer. I think that's the big thing for truckload, especially, is just that a lot of times your target, I talked earlier this year about, going after drop, because there's just certain times when customers are setting people up, and there's certain times when they're not, and you're more likely to get in. And so drop trailer accounts was a huge one, right? Everybody needed trailers. And if you had trailers, or you had access to trailer, I talked to Brandon about this the other day, or you had the ability to rent trailers, whatever it was, they give you, those companies were more willing to listen, right? More willing to set you up, finding those different areas and things that it's just a little bit different, I think, on the truckload side. But your sales process still has to be the same, because you can lock onto a lead, like you said, and then you ignore the fact, you ignore all the warning signs about, that if you keep going, like you said, it's an email, 5 loads, it's just a waste of time. It's a waste of, it's just inefficient, I think, in my mind.
Yeah.
I think your process becomes better, right? I mean, I think you continue to tailor it. I mean, people say they have a set number, like, for every yes or for every no, I get a yes. And I'm going to know the exact number of no's until I get a yes. Well, when you start, it may be 100 no's, maybe 200 no's, 300 no's. But I think as you get better and you're better at qualifying, I think the amount of no's you get compared to yeses, I think, should go down. Am I wrong?
Everyone's metrics are different, right? I mean, I think, though, it just depends on what you're looking to track, right? For me, it was how many hours. So when I first started, it was simple. It was like, okay, how many hours does it take me to get a qualified lead, right? How many hours does it take me? Then it was like, how many hours? So I went by booking appointments, right? I never did transactional, but it was how many hours does it take me to get a meeting with this person, right? How many?
What's your number?
Shoot, now I think it was like an hour. I couldn't even really tell you.
469. Oh,
but hear me out. But I think it was like I got to a point where I was so dialed in, I could book a meeting every 30 minutes, right? But what I would do is, though, even go a little further is, now you can start planning. I mean, again, I could really get into this because I'm pretty passionate about like the sales process, but anybody that says, hey, they're just good because they're good is not, right? They might hit it one time. They might knock it out the park one year, but they're not Tom Brady in it, right? Back to back. So it's like to have a real process. The benefit of that is you could dial in to figure out, okay, I need to set this amount of time, doesn't matter why, set this amount of time to cold call to get these amount of leads, set this amount of time just to call on my qualified leads my leads to get these appointments, which in return, this is what I'll close, right? Because you get so dialed in and it's almost like a game, right? To me, it was like, how do I beat my number, right? It took me an hour to get a lead. I want to get it, I want to take it half hour, right? It took me 60 dials to get a meeting. I want to break that number to 30, right? And it also covered your ass when you had a manager that said, hey, listen, why didn't you hit your number this month? And you could say, well, hey, listen, I had to spend 5 hours on this integration, which took away from the time. It's not about not hitting your goal. I mean, you got to hit your numbers, but it's also like if you know your shit and you're dialed in like that, it's a logical reason why you didn't hit your number, right? So a lot of people just go by their sales process if they have one and just like, oh, I'm super good, I'm personable, people love me. That's bullshit. You gotta people love me. Actually, they don't, but like you get it. You gotta have a process. And I think again, I could get on a rant, but I'll stop it at that. Have some process. I'm not even saying what that process needs to be. Just make sure it works for you.
And for those of you that are thinking like, well, where do I start? Like, how do I even time management, right? Have your calendar, block out, put time aside. I don't care what you're doing. If you set time aside for whatever sales process that you have, and you stick to that, and that's what you do, and you stay consistent, right? You live and die by that, you will be successful. Back whenever I was at my first logistics company, I was having a hard time and getting into the ops too much, not getting things done like I needed to. So two things happened. One, I got locked out of our TMS. And then the second one was that he helped me block out every single day on my calendar on what I would be doing. Was I doing some coaching? Was I doing prospecting? Was I doing stuff, for the office at that point? And I was really pissed off and I really hated it because I was being micromanaged. But looking back, I realized how thankful I was that he did that. So I was that person that was all kind of all over the place, really trying to get dialed in. But I learned time management the hard way, which is what I usually learn the hard way on most things. But if you put it in your calendar or whatever works for you and you stick to that and you get good at time management, you're going to be successful. So
yeah, I think selling from the operations side is different. I mean, it's for me, I think that's, like Mike talks about sales process and stuff. And that's, on the operations side, when you're more focused on an operations process, right. And all that stuff and how you're doing that. I think that's maybe why I feel if you're in operations and you're still trying to sell, right. To be so up on the market. Cause what it does is it allows me, like I've always said, like, I feel like I've landed more accounts when I didn't have this big lead list, right. I didn't have a huge list of leads. I only had like a couple really solid ones because like, as I'm out there, right, in the weeds, as I'm out there in the trend, like I'm seeing stuff, I'm learning stuff, and it's like, boom, there's a name, right? Whether it's a driver, whether it's coming across just, talking with a customer, whatever it is, like something pops up, boom, it's a lead. I'm gonna work on it for a little bit, qualify it, see how it goes. I mean, I think that's maybe why I think, knowing the market where it's at, I think for me is important on the operations side because I don't have all the time in the world to, sit down and go through but time management's huge when it comes to that, right? Because you can start writing stuff down, jotting stuff down during the day, but you got to have that time to sit down and organize it and see what your plan of action is going to be moving forward. But I think just having your day planned out, having an idea of where you want to go, but having a vision, I think, just in general, whether it's what Mike talked about or what Brandon talked about or Tony talked about, just having a vision of what you want to do and organizing that, is key. And whether it's knowing the market, whether it's knowing, commodities, whether it's knowing, the sales process or things that are new here or there or different, or just connecting with people. I think that's the big thing. Having something that you can utilize to help organize that vision, I think is the biggest thing.
Hold up. Rhonda, okay. I think you were talking about leads. I think right when I first started, again, I didn't have any process. I was literally 6 months out of college, but the company I worked for really good at sales, I should say. It was 15 qualified companies, and we were going door to door. Like we were like, I remember so many times walking through industrial parks. I don't miss those days, but it was 15 qualified leads, and our goal was to sell four meetings or 4 deals a month. So again, I was hitting probably 50, no joke, 50 doors, like going business to business, 50 doors a day at least, to get maybe 3 leads. I think that was it. But again, it's now obviously as you scale in your career, things change, but it all comes back to that. It all comes back to the process. If you even hear like any type of, again, I don't know why I try to reference sports because I'm not like this sports guru, but like, I don't know, if you literally like the Kobe Bryant book or something like that, like he talked about, I don't know word for word, but he talks about like, he learned the process from the beginning. Right. And it was like knowing that from when you started just helps you along the way. And you always go back to the process. Even when you first started, it doesn't matter how long you've been into it. You always go back. Right. Like even with cold calling, right? I think about everybody talks about cold calling, right? I think as you scale, even in your career, cold calling gets different, right? It might not be me pounding on doors. It's me. Because listen, I'm not necessarily calling the dispatch for LTL carriers. Well, I have been recently. And guess what? Cold calling helped me get over that fear. And they probably have, I feel bad for these dispatchers. I'm calling them every 30 minutes. Like, yo, where is this freight? Like, I feel bad for them because I'm like, but again, it goes back to, I'm able to do that because I've learned the process at the beginning from a sales standpoint. So I don't know. That's just my take.
Hey, they asked, what do y'all have on prospecting companies that run their own fleet? So I think that's part of just prospecting in general. But if they have their own fleet, and there's going to be times where they say, hey, we have our own fleet. We don't use brokers or we don't use outside carriers. That's going back to what Mike said. Get them out of your funnel. Don't waste your time. Don't spin your wheels.
I don't listen. I think if you do some digging and figure out that's the way to go, I think it is. But I'll tell you this, I love prospecting for companies that have their own fleet.
I'm not saying don't prospect. I'm just saying that
if a company has their own fleet, and this is just something I've learned through stumbling, right? You know, and sometimes if they have their own fleet, it's not worth, right? But a lot of times they control their inbound. Because if they got their own fleet, it's what they're doing is they're pulling from a supply, obviously, that they're either producing or a warehouse and delivering most likely locally, or at least short hauls, right? And if they're doing that, that means they've got customer orders, right? If they got customer orders, that means that they got to have their warehouse full, which means they're probably going to control their inbound. So
Tony, I mean, you said you don't really have, but a couple loads. I mean, sounds like TJ's. Sorry, TJ.
I'll tell you about your own fleet. I spent about 2 months finally in a company that they did a decent amount, but the moral of the story, this is stupid, but the moral of the story was they were looking for a software because we were going to give them just, a TMS. They were like, finally we get the person out that handles IT gets in there. He's like, well, no. We're looking for a software to like manage our own fleet. And my boss is just like, you're a fucking idiot.
You need a guy.
I was like, dude, but they do this.
Let me tell you a secret. In manufacturing, a lot of stuff is bought, delivered because the guy buying it is in charge of getting it there.
Yep.
Yeah.
They want it bought, delivered because they can't figure out how to.
Am I right, Tony?
Huh?
Are you saying I'm right?
Yeah. Well, if that's what you said in way too many words, but
no. But I think all I did was fill the gap between what then Brandon said.
Right.
So that's where you want to go. If somebody's got their own fleet, your main thing is just basically saying, hey, get in work with your inbound.
Here's my advice. If you want to talk to a manufacturer that's got their own fleet, here's what you do. You go to you find the buyers. You get to the buyers and you find out hey, line item your freight for me. Get your invoice on your inbound and have them line item the freight. And most of their suppliers won't do it. Yep. Take note, Brandon. They won't line item the freight because they hide a ton of money in it.
Yep.
We'll give you the great price you want, but then we're going to charge you freight. And the guy buying it has no idea what the hell freight should cost. So he says, all right, great, good deal. Overnight, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think if you look, a lot of what you can find is a lot of the companies scale up, but they run the same type of process. So like just think about like a Walmart, right? I mean, when you're running Walmart freight truckload, if you're running a ton of loads into the DCs, right? But then they have their own fleet, right? They have their own. The Walmart trucks are running then the stuff from the DCs to the stores, right? So that's the same type of thing, just on a macro level, so a higher level. So if you look at it from that standpoint, they're buying from Pierre Water, or they're buying from Campbell's Soup, or they're buying from wherever, and you're running loads for you're set up with say the Walmart account, but you're running them out of those shippers to their DC. It's kind of backwards, but they may have their own fleet, but you just got to look at it from a different angle. You're asking questions, and it's a great way to qualify them, right? Because if they don't control their inbound, or and you run into a wall, funnel them out.
Yeah, if you get that hard no, just a good follow-up question is, well, who does your inbounds, or is it just for outbound? So you can kind of spark up that conversation.
The easy answer is we buy everything delivered. Well, who's your buyer? Let me talk to them. Because no offense to I wasn't trashing the buyers at all, but their focus is on buying product, right? It's not
shipping it.
Right. So there's a huge opportunity in manufacturing for people like you guys.
Thanks, Tony.
Thanks, Tony.
I feel better about
Tony's tip of the day.
My future. Tony's tip of the day. There's opportunity for people in logistics in the manufacturing industry.
There you go. Talk to the buyers. Talk to the buyers.
Mike, let's talk about your hair for a minute. So
you use a comb, Mike?
I think it's beautiful. I think it's beautiful locks.
I do. Thank you. It's been probably one of the only reasons I've done really well at sales. Believe it or not,
same here.
When I was going door to door, no gatekeeper was. They were like, "Fine, go ahead. You can meet with them." Anyways, no, but
hey, Mike, did you know
about my hair? But I do want a haircut. It's just literally, I actually was like, all right, and I'm very picky on my hair. I won't let anyone really touch it. It's like 2 weeks to get a haircut, so I'm just gonna keep. This is probably the longest it's been since I was in college.
So clean up the sides, cut the top a little bit, just rock and modern, badass mullet.
If I'm a barber, though, let's talk. If I'm a barber,
dude, that's the best part is it's like I look like I'm just straight trash, and then I just hit him with some logic.
Yeah, get you some fade, get you a skin fade up, maybe get you a design. You just got to.
What do I got to do to get in with you, Mike?
What?
If I'm a barber, how do I land the Mike account? How do I get in with you to get to cut your hair?
It ain't a rate, I'll tell you that, because I'll pay whatever.
Quality.
I don't know, dude. You just gotta. Oh, I don't know. I've literally had
have the gray in there, the distinguished look, like you got some experience.
Oh,
right.
Just for men, touch of gray.
Wait, I got gray?
No, like me. Like me.
Oh, I was like, oh my god.
Mike, I got a secret for you. Did you know TJ has a comb?
Yeah, I was getting ready to say. So, funny story. We were in Vegas with Hold My Beer with Trey and Lean Solutions and played some golf. But we all stayed in the same room, and we walk in the bathroom, and TJ's in there with a comb, just getting after it. And his reasoning was, he's like, "Well, I've got real thin hair, and if I don't comb it, it'll lay over. It'll look bad."
No, that's the second reason. The number one reason is it scratches my head.
I mean,
I love it.
He is serious as a heart attack, and he's in there combing it. Just it's not. I mean, hey, to each their own. But it really made my morning.
Dude, it feels so good. And then what you do though, I literally have thin hair. Even when I had long hair, I gel it. I put 6 bottles of gel in it. The lightest breeze would blow it to the side. You know what I mean? So when I wake up, my hair will be you can see because it's blonde. So when the light hits it, it'll be pushed up because just like when you mow the grass, right? That's why there's lines because of the angle that they're laying at. So I'll just get water, do this, and then do that, but then I just keep going because it just feels good.
Dude, it is dumping.
Next week on Hold My Beer, it's flashback to the long hair days.
It's dumping snow, and I'm in Seattle. I literally just want, if I didn't have some stuff I had to do, I'm literally sorry. I want to go snowboard so bad right now. If it's dumping here, it's guaranteed it's pounding up in the mountains.
Oh, anyway, fresh powder.
Is Rhonda coming in? Is she coming in with her tape?
Oh yeah, we got to send her the link.
Rhonda's at the dentist.
No, she said send her the link.
Well, she's all in the comments.
Here, hang on. Tell her I'm sending her the link.
Rhonda, are you numb?
She can't. She's gonna come out. Michael Neme. Neme.
Michael Neme. How often do people screw up your name, Mike?
Hey, I'm gonna pull a mic.
Every day, like literally, I'd be in like class, be like, not one. I don't think anybody is. It's so easy. It's like me.
Watch. I'm gonna pull a Mike Neme real quick. Hey,
Now
hey,
you
Rob,
need me?
hit me up. I just sent you the link.
I did.
That's why you got to have a guy with 2 first names.
Like Steve,
There's
Jim.
a guy I follow. He's
Darnell.
savage on sales, but his name's Justin Michael. That's a pretty cool name.
That's pretty cool.
J Mike. That's my boy.
Jay, you don't even.
TJ, what's TJ stand for?
Excuse me.
TJ, what's TJ stand for?
Thomas John.
Total joke.
Never mind.
They named that surgery after you?
Oh, Tommy John surgery? Better believe it.
Tommy John. I'm so screwed. I got this huge patio, and I left. I got new, like. I feel like I'm always getting sofas, but I got this was in September. I got a new sofa, so I put my old sofa outside. Dude, if I showed you that right now, it looks like it's aft.
Well,
Someone said in the comments they're just glad you don't have the what they say up here.
The porn cam.
Yeah, dude, that was a hilarious show because we're all talking and you take notes, which is great. But he's over there on his notepad. Then he pops that on. I mean, I think that was great. It was great. It was a great angle.
I like the angle. I think I just needed to zoom my camera. Anyways, starting. What was I saying? I think it was I was talking to someone. I was like, yeah, I feel like I should. It looks like I would start my OnlyFans. Ad stream.
So is Rhonda at the dentist? Oh, they're coming in hot.
What's going on?
Rhonda, are you numb? You're muted. Are you numb? Can you talk to us? Or are you drooling?
Right back. I do have to get this real quick.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Oh, we got
Sounds great.
Sorry, I don't have my setup, so I just got in a little while ago.
You get a teeth cleaning, or you get some fillings or crown? What do you got?
I had a cleaning after having a just putting it out there, I guess a graft or whatever. So around some expensive implants.
Ouch. So you're not numb?
No, I'm doing good. Doing good. Thank you. I just wanted to clean up real quick. But I enjoyed listening in, and you guys were at the dentist with me, Dr. Patel. So.
Tell them we said hi.
Awesome.
I did.
Well,
I did.
Well, we can let you heal up for next week, and if get prepared for your segment if that's what you need to do.
What are you trying to chase her off? She came on for a reason.
Oh, okay. Well, she just said.
No.
I mean, maybe she was coming on because we asked her to. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
Well,
B
no,
delivers ought to be B shut
Yeah.
down.
So I will chime in just from listening to you all. It really comes down to having priorities in life, and how bad you want it, and how to, and making it happen. And like you said, time management and getting your shit together, priorities in a row, and with hustle and hard work. I mean, I don't see how somebody can't be successful if when they're doing that. So.
Yep. And what do you find with your talks and what you get involved in and stuff? What do you find is the biggest reason why they either shy away from it or don't do? Is it just not knowing how to, or is it not wanting to, or what do you find?
I find it's lack of self-confidence, worried about being told no, and dealing with the emotions and letting those emotions take over your body and how you're, handling any call or whatever. It's just all about having that positive mindset and not letting shit throw you off your game, really. So self-confidence, determination.
Can I tell you
positive mental attitude,
and having somebody in your corner when you screw up to point it out and tell you how to fix it so it doesn't happen again. Like, don't be afraid to make mistakes. Don't make it over and over. Sorry, I got yelling there a little bit.
You want me to tell you my biggest takeaway from this weekend being at this amazing event? I went and listened to all these people, and it was enlightening. I was way out class, and I was totally out of my league. But
I was there.
You saw it. What I noticed wasn't what anybody said. It wasn't what anybody did. It was just observing this level of player in the game, if you would call it that. And there was zero negativity, zero, and there was nobody who could stop them. When they wanted to go do something, these people just freaking did it. They didn't wait for permission. They didn't wait for an opportunity. They just went and did it. So I came back to my team today, and I was like, guys, go get it. Go get it. If you need to get from here to there, stop telling me what's in the way and go get it.
Yep. Positive mental attitude goes a long ways. And,
yeah.
Back to your thing about confidence. I don't know if anybody listens to Andy Frisella. He did like the motherfucking CEO project. And he also did, what was it? It's real as fuck. It's the dude's a stud, but he talked about, being humble is good. But when we talk about confidence, don't humble yourself to death, right? I think a lot of people are afraid of they listen to other people. Oh, not to be, even I would see myself, I was like, I don't want to be cocky. It's like, sometimes you just got to be a bad motherfucker and you got to know it and you got to just do you. And again, I think in today's society, I'm speaking personally, you're afraid that, am I coming off like that person? And that, I feel, there's a fine line, right? A fine line between being confident and then coming off as cocky. But a lot of times I feel like, again, it goes back to don't humble yourself to death and just know you're the shit.
Everyone's got a level of insecurity. You just can't let it hold you back. You still got to go out there and do it.
Speaking of that, insecurity, am I allowed to share my screen, Mike?
Get after it, man.
I'm trying to. There it is.
Dude, you look like that guy from Blue Mountain State, just really skinny.
Who's the girl with the hook?
That's Megan Feller, Big Robbie Brewer. Saturday. We were at a JV game. We played the Friday night.
He looks like a dude from Varsity Blues. Come on, Mom, you can do it.
That's a great Notre Dame T-shirt. But the Texas hat.
You guys believe me, but I had long hair. Then I got freight bod and hairline went back. Every load I booked, I lost my hairline just a little bit more.
Why you gotta go be a consultant, bro? Look at this flow.
I gotta move out to Seattle and buy a bunch of sofas. It's not happening. I can't do it. But yeah, I think the biggest thing with self-confidence is just I think you go through phases on how you develop it, but I think you get to where if you focus on certain things, you get to the point where you just don't care. I mean, you're not worried about what people think of you. I think that's when where the confidence comes from. I think, I hate saying it. Well, Brandon, was I talking to you about this last weekend? It's really weird. Like when you're single, like talking to girls or whatever is like so hard, or whatever. But now that I'm married, it's like no big deal. I have no interest in it though, because I don't care. I don't care what they think about me, right? Because I've like, not I'll be like, oh, you just walked right up there. I'm like, yeah, because I just told her, hey, did you want this or whatever? You dropped this or hey, this or that or like, whatever it is. Like, I don't think about it. And so it's like it's not self-confidence. It's just the fact that I don't care what they think because I'm married. You know what I mean? Like
it's all like that when you were married.
Yeah, I think a lot of that.
But that translates into sales too. I mean, if you look at it from like the standpoint of like, if you don't care that somebody tells you no, you're a lot more likely to have a lot more self-confidence going into things, and you're a lot more likely to continue to do it and push through it. But if you're affected by no and you're affected by this and that, there's ways to get around it, but it's not necessarily, something that should hold you back. Go ahead, Brandon.
I think a lot of that comes with age and maturity. And then also, as you get older, whether you're male or female, you get comfortable within your own skin, who you are. You're always going to have fears and doubts and things that'll hold you back. But, in my opinion, and I'm not a doctor like Mrs. Rhonda, but what I'm saying is that, you mature, you grow into your own skin, you get more confident. And I think if you can exude that and know your abilities, I think that kind of plays up with age.
You grow up, right? You grow up because or you're just sitting in an apartment in Seattle with long hair, buying sofas. You got two ways to go with it. You can get the rest of your life or lay back.
Wait, what?
What's your Fortnite username?
I don't play video games.
I don't even know what that is. Hey, I want to shout out to Trey, who's in the comments. Justifiable confidence comes from doing the right thing over and over. That's so true.
And you have to kind of care about yourself too. You got to have some self-belief and and not everybody has that. So it's learning how to overcome those negative feelings you have about yourself that maybe you don't even realize. And and sometimes it comes from being around people that are modeling the behavior that you're trying to achieve, and they kind of rub off on you, and you kind of adapt and learn their skills, and then you make it your own. So like Mike, like the way he does it, like anybody who's new breaking in, just listen to him for a couple hours. That's got to build your confidence and your energy level.
I would love to work with Mike. I mean, in his little office for 1 month, and I mean that with all the respect. And it's not. I mean, yeah, you even if you're been in the game, or even with TJ or Tony, just sitting with people, iron sharpens iron. You become a product of the 3 people you surround yourself with the most. Don't ever think that no matter how good you are, how successful, that you can't get better. And so, going by what Ron said, I would love to sit in a room with all of you guys for a month and just learn and copy what you guys are doing in some way, or shape it into what I'm doing.
Like, there's more than one way to do it, and it doesn't have to be like Mike. I always talk about when I first met Mike. It was we weren't even connected on LinkedIn, and he had put a video out on one of his cold calls, right? Well, I grew up in like the insurance finance industry when I first started sales, so that was a big thing. And like for me to make cold calls, I had to get the mindset right. I had to get dressed. I wanted to be dressed up. I want to have like a collar shirt. Wanted to be like I get in my mindset, to have that confidence. And I'm watching this guy over here. He's in like a t-shirt with his, hair flapping, and he's got the CEO on the line. He's fucking killing it. And I'm thinking that's one of the best cold calls I've ever heard. And I'm like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like the mindset's the mindset. I mean, yeah, it may take that to get started, but being around people like that, and you surround yourself around them, it's like, it gives you that little bit of confidence. Like you don't need that. You just got to have this or do this, or I think it's key.
I will say that
I bring people in and train them when they ask me, well, I'm not going to be fast. I'm not going to be fast. I'll never keep up with these guys. That's fine. Do it right. Do it right again. Keep doing it right. Do it right over and over. And speed comes with repetition.
Yep.
But you can never cut corners to be faster. All you're going to do is fail.
Yep. Slow and accurate will way overdo speed and sloppiness.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's when we talk about like iron sharpens iron. I did this thing. I was talking about it where I'm a huge observer, right? And I think you can learn from people even that you might even hate, right? You could take something from them. And I don't know. It's just something I've always had ever since I was like a child, right? I've always always been wanting to have like a conversation, whether it's 30 seconds or 5 minutes with someone new every day, right? 2 people a day. I just wanted to learn something. And I remember when I first started out in my career, Worldwide Express, we're always in a suit. It was like, I was always looking at how these executives would talk to each other, right? And that was like my biggest thing for 3-4 years. I was like, listen, I just observed, and it made me so much more confident into where it's like, because a lot of times I feel like even new people are like, oh my God, these executives are like these stuck up people. And that's where it all comes from. It's like, if you listen to some of my calls, like it's probably going to turn off someone, but they call each other dude, bro, yeah. They're human beings. And it would just like watching that and having the confidence to where it was just like calling a CEO off the, doesn't know me. Hey, what's up, dude? Mike Neme with Worldwide. That was like you know what I mean? It just disarmed anything. Right. And it was like, but it was, what got me there was obviously repetition, but what got me there was observing, right? How other executives, I want to be these guys. Yeah. What do I need to do, right? People are more worried about, like, again, when I say suits and stuff like that, dude, yeah, when the setting's right, you got to do what you got to do. But like people were more worried about like what they looked like versus like how they acted. And that was just, to me, I was like, fuck that, dude. I want to learn how these people move, how they conversate, what things do they think about in a business standpoint, right? My own executives, I want to know what they think about. And that
a lot of times that cockiness, that confidence that they exude to the point where it almost feels like cockiness, it's just familiarity with what they're talking about. They're just so good. They're so smart at what they know their crap so well that it comes off to the ones of us that aren't at their level like a cockiness. And it's not intimidating. It shouldn't be at all. You should just get better, become as familiar as they are.
You want to learn time management too? that was another thing, is like I could waste a lot of time, right? And I remember my VP, awesome dude. I needed it. He would go, you cannot send me an email. You send these late ass emails. Stop sending them. Right. It was like about a year and a half on. And he goes, they can only be 4 sentences. And when we have a conversation, I want it to be no more than 5 minutes if it's already planned to sit down in my office. And most people would look at that as like, man, that's pretty shitty. He's treating you like that. No, because he cared. Right. And it literally, it was crazy what that did. It made me sharper. It was just like this. And it's like, you still got to practice it. I'm a talker, right? Obviously. But I don't know. I think a lot of people are just, I think you got search for people that are going to literally give you more constructive criticism than the pats on the back, right? You can find a million people that tell you that you're the shit. Not many people will call you up and say, hey, this is what you did wrong. This is what you did wrong. This is what you did wrong. And maybe you don't want that, but if you want growth, I mean, I crave that type of, conviction.
The ability to do that, though, I think both of you guys kind of touched on it. A lot of what my outside the box thinking and confidence came from my owner. Like I'd go, back when we were small enough, like the only advice I'd have to go in like our owner's office. Now it's hard to get a hold of it. But like I'd go in there and I'd be like, hey, I've got this issue going on, Eric. Like, this, and he's like, well, what? You send this over there? Just have him do this. Have him go over to grab. I'm like, well, can I do that? Well, why wouldn't you be able to do it? You just do this. Like to him, it was like, he was just like, and he's so quick with everything. And Brandon knows, like, he's like, yep, all right, yep, talk to you later, yep. And like, but like, he just says it he's just so used to it. He knows it, right? He's just so confident in what he's just like, why wouldn't you just say it? It made you realize, like, sometimes you overthink things too. Sometimes it's like, hey, if it makes sense, go for it. Like, just, you could do that. They were just telling you can't do it, right? And that's one thing I learned from it, is like, just do this, just do that. Hey, send an Uber over there if they can't. If they can't get to the dock, send an Uber over there, knock on the door, wake them up if they're asleep at the truck stop. I don't know. It's things like that. It makes a big difference. What's up, dude? There he is, Trey Griggs, everybody.
Can you say hi?
Oh, he's taller than Trey.
Can you say hi? Can you smile for him? Can you smile?
Hold my baby.
I gotta go put this little boy to bed. So I'm gonna hop.
What do you call somebody who points out the obvious?
Baby.
Somebody who points out the obvious.
Somebody wrote gullible on the ceiling, Tony.
All right, guys. I'm bouncing. Appreciate you all.
Why don't you ever see elephants hiding in trees?
Oh,
because they're not good at it. All right. Hey, talk to you.
See you guys. Mike got